How to get Canadian citizenship in 2025. My name is Rita Benkalti, regulated Canadian immigration consultant for the company North Horizon Immigration. Once you have achieved your Canadian permanent residency status, you're probably wondering, when can I apply for citizenship? The first thing you need to remember is that citizenship is not based on a point system like permanent residency probably was for you. Citizenship will be based on how many days you have spent living inside Canada. Maybe you lived in Canada without working, maybe you lived in Canada while studying or while having permanent residency status. All of these days can be combined to accumulate days for citizenship. The general rule to apply for citizenship is that you have lived in the last period of 5 years, 3 years inside Canada. The 3 years accumulated will be 1,095 days. Now, you don't need to live consecutively all of those days inside Canada. You can spread them out over a period of 5 years immediately before submitting your citizenship application. Out of these 3 years, minimum 2 of them need to be with permanent residency status. That means that 730 days must be with permanent residency status. The remaining year can be accumulated with temporary status. This means as a visitor, as a student, or as a worker. However, any day that you have lived inside Canada with a temporary status is only going to count for half a day. So that means that in order to accumulate that 1 year that you're allowed to accumulate with temporary status, you must have lived, in fact, 2 years, so 730 days inside Canada with temporary status will give you the equivalent of 1 year for citizenship. And then 2 more years, 730 days, with permanent residency status will give you what you need to accumulate the other days that you need to apply for citizenship. So now that you know how many days you need and with what status to apply for citizenship, it is very important, if you immigrated with your family, for example, with a spouse or with children, it's important to remember that every adult is responsible for the days that they can accumulate for citizenship. This means that parents cannot accumulate days for their children if the kids are 18 years or more. In the same way, one person in the couple cannot accumulate days for their spouse or common law partner. Every adult is responsible for their own days. However, for children who are less than 18 years old, they can apply for citizenship with at least one of their parents when that parent is ready to apply. If these children did not spend those 3 years inside Canada, it's okay. They will still be accepted to receive citizenship with one of their parents. There is a language requirement for citizenship. However, it does not apply to everyone. Anyone who is 14 years old all the way to 54 years old, so this includes people who are 14 and it includes people who are 54 years old, need to show they have a certain level of English, and that is level 4 at the Canadian benchmark level. So that's 4 on a scale of 12, so it's relatively low. They need to show this only in speaking and listening. You will not be tested on your writing and you will not be tested on your reading. How can you show that you have this level? You have 2 different ways. You can do an English exam or a French exam, because French is also one of the Canadian official languages. And so the language requirement of level 4 is also for French. So you can either do a French or English exam for speaking and listening only, or if you have studied and graduated from high school, from college, or from university inside Canada, you can provide that diploma as proof. Now, some of you may have done an English exam or a French exam when you received for your permanent residency application. If these exams showed level 4 or more in listening and in speaking, you can still submit this exam even though it has expired. Usually for permanent residency, they tell you that these exams will expire in 2 years. And by the time you apply for citizenship, maybe 3 or 4 years have already passed. That's okay, they will still accept the exam for your citizenship application. Finally, there's another criteria called the Citizenship Knowledge Test. This test is a test that will quiz you on certain cultural, social, or political general knowledge in Canada. Also geography and history. This test will be required only for, again, people who are 14 all the way to 54 years old. If you are 13, you do not need to pass the test, and you're 55 or more, you do not need to pass the test. First, you must submit your citizenship application, and then you will receive an invitation from the government to pass this citizenship knowledge test. The final step to receive Canadian citizenship is to participate in a Canadian citizenship ceremony. This ceremony might be in person or online. In the ceremony, you will have to swear allegiance to the British Crown. If you do not want to swear allegiance to the British Crown, then you cannot receive Canadian citizenship. This is a very important aspect because there has been already case law with certain candidates for citizenship who had all of the criteria and who had all the days and passed the the citizenship test, but they refused to pledge allegiance to the British Crown, and therefore they were refused their citizenship status in Canada. That's it. If you feel like you might be ready to apply for Canadian citizenship, you can book a consultation with me. We will review your profile, and it will be our pleasure to help you and your family achieve this great final dream in your immigration path.